All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me pull up the chat here real quick, and we will get rolling. So, and live chat. Bam. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, what I like to do every 1,000 subscribers is have a new video, have a live stream where sometimes you can show me projects, sometimes you can ask, usually they're AMAs, stuff like that, where it's one of the ways that I can give back is if I can answer any questions to help you out while you're on your coding journey, I will do my best to. So today, that is what we are celebrating. We're celebrating 1,000 new people who have joined our channel here and hit that 20. Sorry, I'm taking my shoes off. I just got off work. I got a pretty busy schedule today. After this, I'm actually going to a one sock, two sock. I am going to a coding meetup, thrown on by CodePin actually in downtown St. Pete. So if you happen to live in the area and you wanna say hello, I'll be down there in about 2 hours. But life is good. Thank you. We are at 21,000 subscribers and some change. And even to the some change, thank you as well. And to the 1,000 new of you who came here, thank you very much. I hope that the channel is helping you out as it helps me out. And I hope that you decide to stay and watch the videos. Some of the exciting things that have been going on is I just announced this on Monday, but every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we are giving away a free course or book. Currently, we're giving away some Angular 2 TypeScript courses as well, courtesy of AngularUniversity.io. So tomorrow's video, if you haven't won yet, don't worry. We're giving away one course Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And once I reach out to a few more course creators, I guess, a few more teachers, I will be seeing if we can give away a course every day. So that's cool. We're trying to ramp up to a course every day, but that means I have to put out a video every day, and I've been working on my own course as well. So when is the 100 days of code returning? When is it returning? I don't know. The 100 days of code was called short by me, not by April. She's still studying. She's still learning, and I'm helping her when she asks for it. Unfortunately, that was a very time-consuming thing for me. To put in perspective, I get off work, I study on algorithms and things like that, which I wrote a beautiful algorithm today. For work, I use the every function, the array every function, and I use the find index of function, and I use the reduce function, I believe. All in one is beautiful. So all in one function. And I think I used a for loop, but if I wanted to, I could have knocked out the for loop and used a for each loop. But it was one of my moments where I felt pretty good that I had been using some of these functions that I've been working with in the algorithms and getting better as a developer. And it was a very nice thing to see that happening. But when is the 100 days of code returning? I don't know. It might return one day at a time, to be honest with you, where once a week I do a tutoring session with April, and we can continue it on like that. The problem is really just between me working on the course, bettering my skills, YouTube channel, and work, that leaves me with very little time unless I throw something out. And to be honest with you, I don't want to do that. And so I have about 2 hours to myself after work. I get home usually around 4:30, and I have a bite to eat, and I get together, and I get my shit together, and then I start working on YouTube. I start studying, and April gets home, and I have another bite to eat because I'm a little fatty, and I make us dinner. It happens. Nosa Pimok, welcome. I Piet 12, could you mind helping me create a pig dice game using JavaScript? I'm guessing OOP is object-oriented programming, maybe. I don't know that I can necessarily help you. I do offer tutoring sessions, and if you want us to work on that for an hour, you can book one. Now, a good shout out to myself for my coming course. One of the reasons someone asked me, hey, will I be able to buy your courses on Udemy? And originally my thought process was no, because I wanted to continually put out new material, and I wanted you to, and it gave me a consistency of income and things like that. I've changed my stance on this to help, because not everybody wants the same thing. So my courses will be available on Udemy, but I will still have my own site where you can get all my courses for a flat rate of $10 a month or $15 a month. I'm leaning towards 10 because that's basically what you buy a course at Udemy or Udacity for. And so basically the price of one course on sale at Udemy or Udacity for $10 will be what the monthly rate is. So why do I bring this up? Not just a self-promo, something that's not out yet, not done yet, but because up here at 12, one of the things that I will be offering in different tiers of the course, there's going to be 3 tiers. There's going to be a $10 tier, you get all the course materials. There's going to be a $25 tier where you get access to portfolio reviews, code debugging sessions. So those are going to be sort of group meetings where every Saturday or every Sunday, I'm leaning towards twice a week, where twice a week on like a Wednesday or a Saturday, we spend an hour or two as a group, who's ever part of the course and shows up, and say, hey, can you look at my code? How can I refactor this? How can I build my pig dice game, for instance? And assuming that we have enough time, hopefully we'll get all your questions. Again, we'll be doing this twice a week. And then there'll be a $75 tier, which is what I charge for an hour of tutoring right now. And that eventually will go up. But if you're signed up through the course, it won't. I don't think I'm going to go higher than that for the course. But you'll get all that, all the courses, the weekly sessions where we get to debug and talk, answer questions, all that sort of stuff. And then you get a 1 hour session where we can go and, all right, so we're going to spend the next hour working on your stuff. You want to ask me questions about whatever, boom, let's go. And so that's another reason why I'm okay releasing it on Udemy and Udacity, these various courses, so that I can help people out in different ways. And there's an audience there as well to try and sell stuff. What do you think of using WordPress? WordPress is a CMS so that clients can easily edit their own content. I'm learning PHP along JavaScript so I can make my own themes and plugins. I mean, if you're doing it for clients, I could understand that. My only thing is that WordPress developers make significantly less than other developers. Do you still work for a company? I do. I work for a company as a developer, as a salaried developer. I wish I could be doing YouTube or self-dev full-time, but that's not the case. In the average month, I make about, before taxes, I make about 10% of somewhere between, and this was with sponsorships and with ad revenue, I make somewhere between 10 to 15% of my income. I expect my income to grow, so I expect that number to go down. Would I like to be a self-dev full-time? Yes. I have a lot of projects, and that's part of the reasons, and do YouTube full-time. That would be fun. I don't know that I would, even if I could do it now, I don't know that I would do it now because I'm learning so much at my work. Recently, a recruiter asked me, would I prefer remote? And I've thought about this quite a bit, and the answer is no. And you may be saying, wow, Dylan, why would you ever pass up a remote situation? Well, because I do think there's a value as a junior developer going into the field and saying, hey, I actually want to go and leech as much knowledge as I can from these senior developers. If I wanted to hire for an hour a senior developer of the quality of at my work, for instance, any senior developer, 5 years of experience, to basically mentor me on a regular basis, you're looking at $150 an hour, something like that. Instead, instead of working at home, I can go in there, I can pick their brain, I can learn and absorb as much as I can, become a better developer as quick as I can. And so that's why I'm not really looking to work as a remote developer. Now, would that change down the road? Of course it would. I still have a lot to gain by working in a company, so I'm not necessarily looking to get out of that environment. But at the same time, I'm building up other things like my courses that I do want to be able to supplement my income. So maybe that 10 or 15% now becomes 20 or 30%. Give it a year. Now it's 40, 50% of my income. And at some point, you can say, okay, maybe that's a viable option. Who wouldn't want to work for themselves? Like I find it having a YouTube channel has been one of the most gratifying things I've ever done in my life, because it has been a 2-year commitment. And it has done a lot for me in my career. It has been something that I've stayed committed to for 2 years and am continually working on. And it's been a very good thing for me. And I want to continue that. And I think I should continue it, as it's made me a better person and has made me a better developer down the road. All right. Hello from the UK. Hey, UK, man. One day I want to go to England. What stack do I use at my job? We use a combination of the LAMP stack and the mean stack. We're building a lot of different applications. So depending on the applications, we may be using different back ends and different front ends and things like that. And not necessarily front ends. We mainly use Angular for the front end. But we're using MySQL, a Linux environment, although we develop on Windows, which has caused a lot of issues in recent times. So people ask me, oh, well, what's better to learn, Windows or Linux? Well, I develop on a Windows. And so what happens is sometimes when you develop on a Windows, things that work on your Windows device does not work on a Linux environment. And you don't find that out until you push to production. I found that out recently using some PHP. So you run into issues like that maybe you didn't expect. Which are really hard to track down, by the way. I spent almost a full day tracking down the fact that I had a couple of errors like that. I don't know if you answered this question already, but do you write tests for your job projects? Yes, we do. We write unit tests. We were doing some end-to-end testing. And for those of you who don't understand the difference, and there's a bunch of different testing, but in my experience, there's mainly two. There's unit testing, and then there's end-to-end testing. Those are kind of the two main ones in my limited experience, but that seems to be true. If I'm incorrect, someone definitely let me know. But so unit testing essentially is you testing functions of your code, bits and pieces. So you want to say, hey, if I call this add to function, and all it does is take a parameter and add 2 to it, I want to check to see that that function is running properly. And the way that you do it is using testing frameworks like Karma or Jasmine, and you'll write tests testing your methods. Hey, is this still adding 2? If I put 4 in here, does it return 6? Yep, it's still true. Great. That's sort of unit testing. Now there's end-to-end testing, which is really cool. And what that basically is it will run your web application on an actual, like on the screen, it will run it. And from there, what it will do is it will run it, and then you'll code out, hey, when I click this button, it should launch the click function, and if it needs to change the data model should now be this, and then it will go here and it'll do the next step, and the mouse will move here, and when I enter these characters I leave. And that's more of, imagine your computer screen going through the application, actually working through it. That's sort of end-to-end testing. So we were doing some stuff like that. Unfortunately, end-to-end testing, at least for our application, is very, very time consuming. And instead, what what we have to do. We're sticking with unit tests on the front end, and we're including unit tests on the back end for PHP as well, because it tests a little bit of our code, and you should have as many tests as possible. But there is something to be said about being on a small development team and not having the time to do all the tests that you can. It's just kind of a reality, unfortunately. So we write what we can in unit tests, but we do write tests all the time. But we are a small team, so we can't spend all our time writing tests and not building things, unfortunately. Do I plan on creating your own startup, becoming the next Google, Facebook, Uber? I don't think anybody ever actually plans to become as large as Uber, Google, or Facebook. It just kind of happens through a lot of hard work and a good idea. I don't necessarily have any ideas that I think I could skyrocket to Google or Facebook status. The ideas I have, I do plan on starting my own business. I've talked about this a couple times, and we'll see if that changes in the next month or two. Will your company consider, my company doesn't care about the frameworks. We're already working with one. But would I consider switching to other frameworks such as React? I would, and I am. And I plan on specifically learning React and React Native, and Redux as well, since a lot of people seem to be pretty on top of that. If you had the money, would you have gone to a coding bootcamp? Is it a bit better than being self-taught? I would say yes, I would have gone to a coding bootcamp, and I don't know that it was necessarily the money aspect of it. I guess it was kind of the money aspect. It's not that I couldn't have gotten a loan. I just didn't want to go into debt. But so if I did have the money, would I have gone to a coding bootcamp? I think I would have. Yes. Is it better than being self-taught? I think you essentially are self-taught going to a bootcamp, but you're getting a little bit of hand-holding for the first 3 months of being self-taught, which is a huge help. And it's also potentially networking you and connecting you to people who are applying for roles and are looking to get hired at the end. So that's a big benefit as well. But something like 92% of developers, you can go and 90+% developers consider themselves self-taught, because even though you're out there going and even though you got like a formal education or a bootcamp education, the world of development is one in which you are constantly learning, and you have to be able to be self-taught to get to that point. So I think maybe a bootcamp prepares you a little bit more in practical skills than being self-taught, because sometimes I'd run into roadblocks and you don't even know what questions to ask, to be honest with you, at times. And so there would be times where I'd spent 20 hours trying to understand what an API was, and maybe a 15-minute conversation with a professor would have cleared that up. Now, this is something kind of funny, but I would actually love to go to a bootcamp. Like, logically, it doesn't make sense now. I'm a working developer. I have resume experience. I've been able to maintain a steady increase of skill set and continue to become a better web developer. But I would actually love the experience of going to a bootcamp. Something about the dive all in, don't worry about anything, especially Dev Mountain, where housing's included and you live with a bunch of developers. I would actually love just to dive in, embrace it all, see what gaps in my knowledge I could fill. Because you definitely, no matter if you're a senior developer or a junior developer, I think you definitely would discover new things along the way. And I'd probably learn a lot more about Node and Express that I know now, as well as MongoDB and Mongoose. I use all these things on occasion in my free projects, but I don't use them like I use other technologies. So I would love to actually do it. It just doesn't make sense for me to go. And it definitely doesn't make sense for me to quit my job and go and then take out a loan of $10,000. But if I'm ever self-employed, I'll make this caveat that if I come to a point in life where I can support myself off YouTube, at which point my channel would have to maybe tenfold in size or in income, 10+ fold in income, I would reach out to some some boot camps and ask if they would sponsor me, and then I would go and I would vlog. You'd see 100 days of coding boot camp right there. That's what you would see. But yeah, would I consider myself senior developer? I would not. No, I'm definitely a junior developer, although I do think I'm a decent junior developer, and because I strive to get better, and I think I have the characteristics of a good employee and things like that, because I'm very aware of what makes someone a good employee, I would say. And I would like to, how do I put it? I would like to be a senior developer as quickly as possible. It's not necessarily the years. It's kind of strange. This is the thing about being a senior developer. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not a senior developer. Just make that completely clear. Is that a lot of times just being a senior developer is 5 years experience. That would really consider you, if you're a full stack developer for 5 years, you'd be considered a senior developer on the cusp of it or around there. But in reality, I think it depends on the individual more than anything else. It depends how many hours they put in, not how long they've held a position. It's not necessarily a direct correlation. So let's say the average person, let's just think about it this way. Let's say in an average week, I code 45 hours at work. Let's say 40. I code 40 hours at work, and then I code about 20 hours out of work. That's 60 hours. A lot of times I code about an extra 20 hours. And I know compared to my coworkers, I code 50% more than them because they don't code at home. I know that. They don't have time. They got families. They got lives. They commute about an hour plus each way. So if you take that and we say, okay, let's just say the average person doesn't code outside of work. So already I'm coding 50% more. So in a span of 5 years, I've coded 7.5 years compared to their 5. So if you take that logic, and it's not perfect logic, but you should, in terms of skill set, maybe become a senior developer more quicker and more efficiently than the other person, not correlating years, but in terms of time spent is what I'm trying to say. I would consider myself on average a senior developer in about 3 years from now. 3 years will give me about 4 years of resume experience, and I think somewhere 5 years would be probably the standard to be a senior developer. And I would say at that point I could consider myself that one. I find it hard to stick to free code camp. I've bounced around other courses. I'm currently going through Treehouse and find the knowledge is sticking more. Have you tried it, and what other courses do you recommend? Well, Treehouse is a different platform than free code camp. Free code camp is go and do it. Treehouse is, hey, let me show you, and then you go and do it, which is kind of a different thing. They do video. The free code camp doesn't necessarily have videos to go along with it. Do you keep making side-by-webs? Do I keep on making side projects? I work on little side projects. Are they live on the web? I usually just do videos. I have a couple small ones that I did where I did the what do they call them? The microservice projects, the URL shorteners, things like that to teach myself MongoDB, Mongoose, Node, and Express. I did those. I haven't put them up though. I released videos on them. Do you think it'll be easier to find junior developer work in tech hubs? I think typically there are going to be more jobs, but it's been my experience that breaking into the industry was a little bit easier, not worried about tech hubs. If you're unaware, I live in Florida. My last job was in Los Angeles, where I grew up my entire life. Now, I was willing to travel the entire United States for a role. So if you're willing to take, my advice is this: be willing to work anywhere and apply anywhere. And once you get some years of experience and you want to go a certain area, it'll be much easier. All right. Is it accurate to say that a boot camp is just a fancy word for a technical school? I think so. Although I think the boot camp aspect of it, Brandon, refers more to the amount of time and the sort of extreme amount of stuff you're covering in a very short period of time. Most boot camps will tell you expect to put somewhere between 60 to 80 hours a weekend, and they most of the time they'll advise you not to work because you really won't have the time if you want to get the most out of it. Could you advise me to be a full stack developer or mobile developer? Full stack. Full stack. Mobile developer jobs are harder to get, they're harder to maintain. And in terms of full stack development, there are libraries popping up right now that are actively being used that are you build a web app, it compiles into a mobile app. So that's taking some of the job market away from mobile developers. What is the best way to calculate project delivery time? I don't know. I don't know. I think you should probably, if you really wanted to do it, you would have to start a ticketing system like on Confluence or Jira. Break out every function you're going to put, and then estimate how much time each function would take you, and then go from there. That would probably be the best way, is actually break it out in little bits and pieces in the documentation, and go from there and see what makes sense. And then whatever it is, fucking double it. Okay, so the whole thing, no bullshit. Take what you're doing there and don't think about doubling as you're doing. Be like, this function might take me 3 hours. Cool. And then add all those together and you say, all right, cool. I have 36 hours to do this small one-page application. Cool. It's now 72 hours of work. That's my advice. How do you apply for jobs that are not in your area? You apply, and on your LinkedIn or your resume that you're handing in, you say willing to relocate for great opportunity right in the top sentence. It's exactly what I did. I'm a 15-year-old from England. I do computer science. I can't code to save my life, but I'm pretty good on security, binary networking. Hey, I'm awful with binary security and networking, so good for you. Any tips, man? You're 15. It's going to click in eventually. Just keep with it. Code daily is the best advice that anybody could ever give you to learn to code. And I just heard this comment right now. That'd be funny, man. But yes, so code daily, stick with it. Just continue learning. Start by breaking your projects into small pieces, piece by piece by piece. Start doing whiteboards. Start going through the process and putting in the time. What do you think about Oracle ADF for application? I don't know anything about it. Will you be releasing the 67 steps course on web development? I kind of just want to, just because I think it would be funny. How do you get work assigned? Do you get general tasks assigned, or do you get specific tickets to fix? It depends on the company. We are a smaller company and a smaller software team, I should say. Our company is fairly decent size. But so on a small development team, you may not have as much documentation. Not always the case, but it depends on the job. At my previous work, they had about 30 developers, and so they had basically 2 project managers. And what happened was they would break out everything into a ticket. Your tickets would be, hey, you need to build this database, or hey, you need to build this function. Like just one part. And you might have 10 different things, and you kind of work on it, and they're rated in terms of priority and what needs to get done. Is something blocking somebody else? If it's blocking something else, that's a priority. That's number 1 priority. Your ticket's holding up my ticket, man. Get that shit done. At my current work, it essentially goes a little bit like this. Hey, I need you to build this application. Cool. Thank you. And then if you need help, you go and ask, and you go and you start architecting it out. You start designing the database. You start doing the wireframes. You start sometimes getting requirements still. Sometimes you need additional details. Sometimes you go and go from there. It depends. Sometimes it will change, right? Priorities change from the top down. Hey, this is on the back burner. Go and do this now, because that's what the bosses are saying. How many interviews did you get that paid for your travel? How many did you pay for? I actually had phone interviews. A lot of them were either not, especially for recruiting agencies. Recruiting agencies weren't willing to pay for my travel, so I didn't go. Some companies you do a phone interview, you do a Skype interview, that's enough, and they'll fly you down if they're interested. I never got that opportunity, but I did a lot of phone interviews. I did a lot of Skype interviews, and the recruiting agencies that would only do in-house interviews, I didn't go to. I'm not driving to Texas for an in-house recruiting agency interview. It just didn't make sense. I can't find a website called Code Daily. No one said that there's a website called Code Daily. I'm telling you to Code Daily. Tutorable says, "Hey man," that's why I think when people say at Code and Tourist 360, "Hey man, as a beginner, I feel overwhelmed by all these new tools such as frameworks, task runners, ES6, and other stuff. Any tips?" Don't worry about it, man. I'm still overwhelmed by it. Just start learning piece by piece, and actually put in the time. I think a lot of times what happens is no one sits you down and explains to you what Bower is. No one sits you down and explains what Gulp is. No one explains how they're relevant, why they're used, and how to get better. And a lot of times it's just a matter of connecting things to what you already know. A lot of ES6 is just new syntax for stuff that already existed in ES5, for instance. And if you can relate it, say, hey, this arrow function that looks a little different, feels a little strange, is just like this callback function here. And you make a correlation. And you say, okay, this framework, this is like the framework that you know here. This is why, since it's the same, this is what's different. And so those are things I'm trying to tackle in my course as well, is breaking down, and videos that I put out. Hey, big boy. Don't get overwhelmed, man. And take the time. Watch an hour video on it. A lot of times, how many people here have watched an hour video on some of these subjects? If you're feeling overwhelmed by Bower, Gulp, React, go watch a video on it. Start doing projects in it. Start working with it, and add it to your toolkit. Is it correct that a cloud developer will have a good value near future? Yeah, everything's going to the cloud, man. It wouldn't be. I don't think the cloud's going away. If the cloud's going away, the internet's going away, boys. I don't think either one of those is going away. So I think we're all good. I think we're all good. Although they are trying to get rid of fucking net neutrality, so you never know. You never know. I think you're all right though. Hey, Milo, you want to come up here, buddy? Get up here. Get up here, little fat cat. Come on, fat cat. No? Get up. Up. What are you doing? Get up here. Oh, I'll pick you up, you little fatso. Oh, hernia. I love learning CS material on my own more than in class. Is that weird? No. A lot of your teachers are probably really bad. I had very few good teachers. I had two good teachers that I had two in my college courses. By the way, there's a lot less like CS courses than you would imagine in a CS degree in terms of coding. But in my college coursework, I had two teachers who I would say I enjoyed their company and that they were good teachers. A lot of teachers, and this isn't just CS, right? I think this is unfortunately true about most teachers. A lot of teachers either do it because their skill set is no longer relevant, so they teach what they know. And it's the only field in which after a few years, you get tenure and then you can't be fired and let go. I have a very low opinion of most teachers, but maybe I just had bad luck. And also, I think being able to learn on your own is a crucial skill for a developer. So not to worry about that. It's not weird. And struggling with vocabulary, I think you just have to start. If you watch me talking with April, I always try to use the words that we're actually using and reiterating them and using them in conversation, because I want her to start storing those in her mind. So just start using it any way that you can. I am in my new place, yes. Yeah. So universities, unfortunately, are more about the teacher than they are about the student, which is one of the reasons why they are failing and one of the reasons why students are getting fucked over. Any books you would like to suggest to become a good programmer? I You guys may find this shocking, but I've only read 2 short books in my entire time. So I don't read many coding books. So by the time a book comes out, it's usually irrelevant. Although I am going to read the new Vue.js book because I want to learn Vue.js that Eric Hanchett, who will be in tomorrow's video, and we're giving away a copy then as well, is co-writing. So I will be reading that one to teach myself some Vue.js. Would you consider looking at people's or projects during the AMAs or giving feedbacks? Yeah, I will. I'm kind of enjoying this right now, though, to be honest with you, before we start jumping in. Have you ever worked in an agile environment? I have at my last work. And I would say that even though we don't necessarily have a direct agile environment at my current work, it isn't like it's no hard set rule that it's agile. I would say that we're basically an agile shop as well. So let's talk about agile. So those of you who don't know what agile, why agile is kind of mentioned, I think this is my theory about agile. And I kind of discussed this if you caught the interview with Kristen Leak, which I haven't released yet. So agile is a new way of programming for the last 15, 20 plus years. There's basically 2. There's a waterfall, which means that you basically plan out your entire project and into like maybe 4 steps. You finish step 1, you never fucking go back to step 1. And it's just like never. We never divert from the plan. Never. We don't go back. We only go forward. Like it's very strict. That's how I explain waterfall. Essentially, you have a very long plan that you execute in multiple steps. Now, there's agile, which is essentially what it's called. It has a different development process where you're able to jump back and forth a little bit. You're able to be much more flexible. And the problem, and the reason that's emphasized is I think if you take people from this sort of waterfall mentality and put them into a new sort of, hey, this is the next year of your life, to, hey, this is the next week of your life, some people don't adjust too well. Now, should you? Yes. I don't think anyone under the age of 40 is going to have an issue with agile. And that's not to say that if you're over 40, I'm just saying I think most people are comfortable working in an agile environment. If you're not, I'd be very surprised. You're going to have to get used to it pretty quick, I think. I think most companies are agile unless you're working with like massive development teams. Do you watch TV or do you hustle all day every day? I normally don't watch too much stuff. Occasionally I watch some YouTube. But right now I'm actually watching House of Cards with April. We watch 1 episode while we eat dinner, and then I go back to the grind. So is Vue.js worth learning? It depends. I think I like Vue.js. I like things that are coming up. I would say for a practical standpoint, if you're trying to learn something that's going to be a good skill set, you should still stick to Angular or React. Although Vue.js is on its way up. Oh, man. You guys might get lucky, man. Maybe I'll stream a little bit of the meetup today. How much per hour should I charge as a contractor in New York City? It depends on what you're worth. So Brandon says, I noticed that some of the other tracks on Free Code Camp are incomplete, coming soon everywhere. What do you think about Free Code Camp's past their front-end certificate? Well, are we counting the beta as well? Because the beta has made significant changes. But let's just say we're not talking about the beta. I like that they throw those projects up there. I don't necessarily like that there's no guides to them, but I think if you got through the front end, you should be able to get through the rest of the stuff, as I have. I built the microservices, hiring a tutor for 1 hour, and then going and watching videos. Would you say that most companies today are looking less and less at your degree over your actual portfolio? I would say that they're more open to it than they may have been in the past, and I think specifically in software. So I know that it does hurt me, but not as much as I think other people might think. I think, let me put it this way. I think it doesn't help that I don't have a degree. I think that, and that's part of the reason I've been thinking about going back. My next big jump in pay, I'm going back. I'm finishing up my degree. Which I expect my next jump in pay to be about anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So the reason I'm waiting, April got a job 6 weeks ago, or not less than 3 weeks ago, started working. I've been paying for all the bills for 6 months. I didn't want to take out any loans, so I waited until she get a job. And now I'm getting close to my 1 year. So based off my 1 year, I'll go and I'll re-enroll. I'll finish up online. That's my game plan. I don't want to take out any debt. Now, why am I doing that? I'm already a developer, yes, but it will open doors down the road. I don't think that it hurts me, but I do think that it would help me in the same fashion. So, and which is kind of like hurting you, right? Like if you're +5 here, it's like saying, hey, where is this? Let me make a money term. I got money somewhere. All right. So it's kind of like saying this, right? This is your degree. This is your degree. Got $20 more than you used to have. This is you with no degree. You're not in the negative, but you don't have the $20 to add to your worth. Degree? No degree. Now, imagine this is negative money. This is what a liberal arts degree is. It's worse than this. Negative money, liberal arts degree, no degree. Liberal arts degree, negative money, no degree. You guys get the point here. This is what I'm trying to say. So, how can machine learning concepts help as a web developer? I don't know. I don't know anything about machine learning. How many meetups do you go to in a month? I usually go to 1 to 2. I'm going to one tonight. If I was unemployed or looking for work, I'd be going to a couple a week. Lesbian dance. David Basil, what's going on, sir? Good, sir. I saw you on Eric's video today saying, hey, learn jQuery and PHP. Mind's blown. That's what I saw today. Do you have any recommendations on how to make cool mega menus? Animations. Get good with animations. Animations are hard to get started with, but I think if you're looking to make cool anything in web development, it's always animations. Also, scan CodePen, man. There's a lot of cool stuff on CodePen. I got nothing against jQuery and PHP. I think it was an oversimplified response. I just noticed your comment on it. You're very passionate. I like it, man. How many programming languages do you actually know? 0. I'm always learning, man. I don't think you could, even though I work in JavaScript every day and PHP every day, and I've been working with JavaScript for 2 years, I would never even, if I had to say one, it'd be JavaScript. But that's about it. Although I could probably learn any language if I spent the time with it. Do you think it will be okay if my portfolio projects use Bootstrap? If you use it for the column grid system, I think that'd be fine. I also think that it might be better if you don't use their styling and you go from there. Hey, Chub Chub. I mean, here's the thing, guys, is I equate to things not necessarily being a negative that you use Bootstrap, but you shouldn't have all your projects in Bootstrap. Did I watch the E3 conferences? I've watched a couple portfolios. I've watched a couple of Boogie's videos reviewing it and his Francis videos. That's about it, though. What's your progression rate in terms of subscribers? Let's see here. I believe I'm growing by about 1,500 subscribers a month right now. What do you mean all these tutorial videos are just faking it? What does that mean? Hello, my friend. Any games I'm looking forward to? So I'm pretty cheap, guys. I still need to play World of Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 15. But if I were to, I'm up by 6%. I'm at 1457 subs, by the way. I'm looking forward to the new God of War. So that's what I'm looking forward to. How often do you show people your code or do whiteboard coding when going to job interviews? Did you provide? I show people my code. I usually it's more algorithms for me when I was looking for work. Did you have to provide your GitHub to get your current job? It was on there. There wasn't anything in it. I actually got a job much quicker than I was anticipating, so I never pushed in my code to GitHub. What level am I on code fights? Let's see here. I just leveled up the other day. Am I tired after work? Yeah, but I find potential poverty being more tiring. So I go through it. I am trainee 2, a trainee 2. So whatever level that is, I think that's the level. What happened to setup? I moved offices. Or I moved, not like into an office, but I have my office now. I got 4 monitors up right here. I got the green screen effect going on. Hey man, I'm no joke. I am very scared of being broke. I've been broke in my life before, and I'm working hard so that, for those of you who don't know, I save a ton of money. Since I started working, I started at 10% saving my income, and now I'm up to 33% of every check I save, I invest. And I save a little on top of it. So I've always kind of kept my life down to the minimum, and that's why I'm working so hard, man. I don't ever want to go back to that. I did move apartments. I moved closer to work. I'm about 10 minutes away from work versus the 25 I was. We moved into a slightly bigger place. It was $50 more a month, but it was about 30% bigger, and from there it was I'll make it up on the gas I saved going to and from work. What kind of technical questions did they ask during interviews? Or was it personality type question? It depended on the place. A lot of it was you were talking with a recruiter to start. They kind of are. They kind of ask you the basic questions, man. What's your experience, and then you talk about you sell yourself basically, and you go from there. And that would be like the recruiter. Now, when you get to talk to the developers, they might ask you some more personal questions. Hey, tell us about this hackathon. Tell us about your most impressive projects, so on and so forth. What languages are you comfortable with? And if the developer likes you and thinks that you give good answers, typically they'll send you to an algorithm section. Now, every company is different, but I'm just giving you a rough estimate. In the algorithm part, they'll send you usually a timed algorithm that you have to figure out. A couple, usually. It depends on the company, but usually you do a couple algorithms and send it back, and based off your algorithms or not, if you pass the algorithms and you do well, you usually have a pretty good shot. Do you get shivers when you see a pizza delivery cart? No. It's not that I mind delivering pizzas. I just didn't like if I could make here's the honest to God truth. If they could pay me the amount of money I could make as a delivery driver to deliver pizzas, I would be driving with a smile on my face. That was the easiest job that I ever had. Like I had to work hard, but like it's much easier than being a developer. What is the 5-year plan in terms of learning? I'll answer that in a second. Dylan, have you given the Angular giveaway from Angular University? Yes. So that went to a gentleman by the name of Jamal, I believe. His username was like Jamal. So don't forget though, there's a giveaway every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you don't win then, you can win in the next video, and you can win more than once, guys. It's all random. All you gotta do is use the keyword in that video, and you in the 2-day period that goes out. So if you do win, I'll just ask for your email and a comment, send it back, and we'll get you hooked up in the next day or so. There's a few, like there may be a day or two gap between when you send the email and whatnot. So what's the 5-year plan in terms of learning? Very good question. My 5-year plan depends on where I'm working, for one. If I get a job elsewhere or my job changes its technologies, it's going to change my 5-year plan in terms of learning. So let's talk about what my 5-year plan is in life, and just assume that I'm learning whatever is relevant to my current life. I plan on releasing a course. I plan on starting a company, and my goal is 5 years from now to potentially be, if the company succeeds, running that company and buying a house. That is my 5-year plan. What do you think the best UI UX tools are in real life? It depends, man, on what sort of, if you're talking about simple like we can do very simple wireframing with Balsamiq at my work. I really like that. I used it in my previous work. It's not like super detailed, but I don't necessarily think it has to be. But in terms of someone who does a little bit of everything, I'm a full stack developer. So sometimes it's UI, UX, front end, sometimes it's back end, database. It just depends. Testing, all over the place, right? Is the green wall supposed to be like a green screen for videos? Yes. So that's exactly what it's used for. I wonder, I might actually break this if I try and switch the video camera. Let's see if we can get it, because I thought on here. All right, I may have broken it. We'll give it a second to see. We'll give it a second to see if it actually goes through. Is it working? Come on, man. I believe. Nope. So, oh, there it goes. Hey! Oh, my arms. What happened to my arms? All right. Hey, we in it. We in it to win it. I don't know why it keeps on cutting off my arm. I can't code. I can't code. Oh my God. Oh man. All right. So in 5 years I will be 34. That is correct, man. You're making me feel a little old. Hey. It's like in Call of Duty. You gotta wait a second for your health to come back, and bam. Well, would I ever consider being an independent contractor somewhere in the near future? If the money's right, and I have a few more years under my belt of experience, and I have side income, which that's kind of my #1 goal right now through these projects, is to continue with my side income. Yes. Can you buy a working Tesla Model S as a software developer? Yeah. All right, we're back. Does your outward appearance matter to potential employers? I think it doesn't necessarily matter, but it doesn't hurt. would someone who's overweight find it more difficult to get a job than someone who's fit and muscular? Every stat will tell you that if you're a more attractive individual, male or female, or you're more fit, you will more likely be eligible to get the job. It's just a fact. Should it be? Absolutely not. But it is. And you being aware of that is crucial. Like, one thing I've always really hated are my teeth. My teeth have got fucked up for the last couple of years. I don't think I'm losing jobs because my teeth were jacked up. It goes back to it can only help you. Like, no one's actually looking and saying, hey, are we not going to give this guy a job if he comes in here with some fucked up teeth? Like, no one's mentally making that. But it will only help you if you are an in shape, muscular, fit person. Do I know any companies that are looking for remote full stack JavaScript developers? Or maybe your company? No, sorry, man. Is there a recruiting agency yet? They start paying me the recruiting agency money. You'll start seeing Sunday remote jobs, top 10 places. Click the links below. Thank you for the checks. Are you guys still doing 100 days of code? Not right now. No. Have you seen any developers at your job or other jobs that are over 40? Yes. By the way, most of the developers at my work, we have about 6. I'm the only one under 30, not counting the intern, who's, I think, going to be part-time now. I don't know what's going on with him. But I'm the only one under 30 without kids. There's the next junior developer who's 35. Everybody else is over 40. Nine out of 10 developers I've worked with in the past, at my past job, and my current job, and my internship before that, were all men. 9 out of 10. Is it bad to watch Codecamp tutorial videos to finish projects? I don't think so. I think what you should really use them for is to see where your gap in your logic is and try to understand why you have that gap and why you don't make that connection. How did you get through the projects on Codecamp? Did you also use outside resources? No. There were none, man. I was the outside resource. No, yeah, I just pieced it together piece by piece, man, as much as I could. Do they call you kiddo? No, they all try and say I should marry April, though. I was like, because I have no plans of marriage and kids in the next 5 years, and they've all made that decision, and maybe my stance will change after 5 years, but I'm so focused on getting other things started, I don't want to change anything else. Are there agents out there who find jobs for programmers to take a commission, first month salary, etc.? I know in other industries it's common practice. There is, yes. I would say on average, though, the way most recruiting agencies work is, let's say Code Fights, right? Code Fights interviewed me the other day. They saw me working through their sites. Part of the great thing about Code Fights is they will actually, once you hit a certain point, start sending your resume out if you want. So I take the interview because I talk with all recruiters. Best practice you can do. You never know what's going to happen. So they, for instance, and this is common for most people, is they actually, when they get you a job, they send you a swag bag and $1,000. You say, wow, man, you got me a job and $1,000? That's really dope. Why are you doing this? Are you just super sweet? No. They are very nice people. At least the woman I talked to is very nice. It's one of the best recruiting experiences I've ever had. I would highly recommend her. So the reason is, the bulk of recruiters, the reason they're actively going and pursuing you is because developers, for the most part, are in demand. Now, the way that the bulk of these agencies work is they get a fee. So they go and say, okay, cool, we got this guy. Does he fit you? Will you want to hire him? Cool. That's going to be $10,000. That's going to be $20,000 now if you want to hire him. Sometimes you'll work through the recruiting agency and they'll just kind of pimp you out. So in a contract to hire position or a contract position, whatever it is. So that's usually how most recruiting agencies function, is they get a flat rate or a commission, but it's usually paid by the employer and not out of the developer's salary. It's like, okay, well, he's going to cost $100,000, and then we're going to need our $10,000 affiliate cut. How do you know when to continue learning from one language and framework to another? Well, I would say when you have built up a sufficient amount of portfolio projects, I would say that's probably a good time to move on to something else. Or, if possible, taking your current front-end projects and building a new back-end for it. Take the projects you have and start building out different applications with existing stuff. Thanks for making the Codecademy Python walkthrough. They're helpful. You're welcome, man. Thank you. I'm glad they helped you. Ricardo Diaz, what's up? What's up? So, guys, we've been going for about 50 minutes or an hour or so. I usually do about an hour live streams for these 1,000 new subscribers. So those of you who don't know, I'll reiterate that every new 1,000 subscribers that we get, I like to do a thank you video where I answer questions. We do these AMAs, and sometimes we'll even review portfolio projects. I'm sorry that I didn't do it this time. We had a very active audience. I'm glad, and I appreciate all the questions. They're all great questions. So for the 1,000 of you who are new, thank you for coming. Kill this little gnat here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being part of the community. And if you're new to the community, you don't know, we do have a Facebook group called Code, Tech, and Caffeine. I will actually throw it up in chat. 1 second. Let me go ahead and get the link for it. It's a place where you can ask questions, share news, share memes for coding. The reason for it is I really think that, especially on the days that you don't feel like coding, and there are those days, not for me, but maybe for you. Like, I don't know. Some days for me. I won't lie, right? Where you're getting frustrated. Some days you can better your skill set by staying up to date on what's going on in the industry and make it fun in a different way. I'll post that link right now in chat. And then we have our Discord channel as well, where we have various groups in there where you can ask questions and you can maybe get help from another subscriber. So these are all things that we're creating, and I always am trying to find ways that I can help out, as well as help me out. So I hope that you guys take advantage of the Facebook group, take advantage of the Discord channel. I am continuing to do my best to build the channel out, and as I mentioned earlier, take a look out for our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday videos, where we will be giving away a free course and a free book, I should say, course or book, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday video, which I hope to expand. All you got to do is use the keyword, like the video, and comment with that keyword. And hopefully you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed and you're just trying to like and comment, shame on you. Shame on you. You should be subscribed. I will be doing more giveaways down the future as I'm still reaching out to a few people on Udemy and Udacity and stuff like that. But we have a lot of great courses. I always try to leave these live streams with some final thoughts. And today I try to write one post a day or share one thing a day on the Facebook group. And so let me share what I wrote about today on Facebook. About 2 years ago, I was in the middle of the grind becoming a developer. It seems like it was just yesterday, but I guess it was 2 years ago. It's a long time ago. I was delivering pizzas. I was miserable. I was unhappy. I was broke. My mother oftentimes was bringing me groceries so that April, myself, and her sister at the time, who we took into the house, so that we could get by. The three of us were living off her modest salary in Los Angeles of about $28,000, $30,000, something like that. I was unemployed. I wasn't working as a developer. I was struggling going through it. But I was coding every day. And there was days I didn't want to code, and there was days I felt like a loser, and there was days where I questioned that I was going to get there, and there was days when that was there, that she was there to tell me that I wasn't all those awful things I was thinking about myself. And it's something that I will always respect her for doing. Now, 2 weeks ago, I bought a washer and dryer, and I had the money to buy it, and it was a surreal experience because I remember not being able to buy groceries. I remember not being able to, when April came, April's been so good to me for so long, and I remember not being able to buy her birthday presents. I remember not being able to take her on trips. I remember not being able to pay for the movies. I remember not being able to treat her the way that she should be treated. And I remember feeling bad about myself for that, and her telling me it's okay. And that was one of the things that motivated me every day, was not wanting to go back there. So when David Basil earlier says I really don't want to be broke, it has a very negative connotation for me. Money doesn't necessarily make you happy, but poverty made me sad, and I don't know how else to put it. I don't want too much out of life. I just want to be able to live a good life. And so here we are, 2 years later. We're full stack developer. Life is going in the right direction. I'm able to buy a washer and dryer when not too long ago I wasn't able to buy food. I wasn't able to treat the woman I love to things in life, other than my charming personality, which depending on the day isn't as charming as as it can be. And today, I made my first stock purchase. Whether I lose my money in the stock market or not is not the point. It's that I have the ability to have extra income to invest and make sure that if times come and my money goes away, I have something safe. And when I bought the washer and dryer, I really had this, wow, and it may seem silly, wow, how far we have come. And I kind of remember thinking back and just thinking wow, I bought a washer and dryer. And it sounds silly. It sounds really silly. But I remember streaming on Twitch before this and not being able to buy a camera and trying to make money and donation. It was the closest I could ever explain the way I felt was when I made my first $100 on Twitch to buy a webcam that someone donated. I was really excited about that. We were really struggling. There's no way I could buy a webcam. April and I were living in the living room at that point. Oh man, it was a rough time, but it's nice to be able to reflect on the moment and think how far you've come. And I hope that when you do get those moments in life, those, hey, the grind is still going moments, but it may not be as hard as it is. Now we're grinding to something better, not just grinding out of something. We're grinding from good to better. We're not grinding from shit tier to hey, we can scrape by. So I hope that as you grind to the next level and you continue your grind from worse to better and better to great and whatever comes after, I hope that you reflect on that and really appreciate the hard work that you've put in to get there. That's what I'll leave you with. For the 1,000 new subscribers, thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. And if you happen to be in the St. Pete area, I'm going to a meetup, CodePens meetup at the Iron Yard in St. Pete tonight. Maybe I'll take some pictures and share them on the Facebook group. Make sure you guys are members. I'll see you guys in the next video. Look forward to tomorrow's video where we talk about Vue.js with Eric, program with Eric, who is a co-author of it, and we'll be giving away a book in our Friday video. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you for all the support you have given me. I will try to give it back to the best of my ability. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.